All right, let's see what's going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
So now the other thing I want to ask you, how do you feel like how does it feel like the movie's being impacted kind of by everything happening around going on in the world?
Why, what happened? I did ayahuasca and the last year of my life is just gone, but I've heard the movie's amazing.
Wait, thank you.
I mean, I just, it's a tough situation.
Yellow from this reflection, should we scoot up?
Yeah.
It's a little yellow.
Are we yellow?
Yeah.
Like
Can
Simpson or
we get
something?
this close look on?
Wow. So apparently I've missed a ton of stuff when it comes to the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits. And I've been keeping track of it on Twitter, but I haven't really made a video about it since it really felt for a while like every single day something new was coming out. And to be honest, I really just couldn't keep up with it. So let's catch up together and see what's been going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So Blake Lively's lawyers filed an amended complaint, and what came out of that was she claims that she has two other actresses who are prepared to testify against Justin Baldoni should this go to court. Now, the suit does not name the actresses, quote, directly from their text or include screenshots at all, and it claims that this is due to concern that they might be exposed to some sort of cyberbullying and threats that Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds claim that they have endured, along with others associated with the ongoing saga. So in order to protect these women, they weren't named in this lawsuit, but should this go to court, Blake Lively and her team are going to make them come and testify. So they'll eventually be named regardless. Online consensus is that they're not named due to the fact that they don't want to be a part of this lawsuit and they need a little bit more convincing. So while she has not officially named them in her lawsuit, they're just alluding to the fact that there are two other women who are set to come and testify should this lawsuit get to the point where they have to come to court to testify. There is speculation as to who these women are. One is Isabella Ferrer, who played the young Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us. She was side by side with Blake Lively in a bunch of interviews during the promotion of this movie. This was her first movie, and up until pretty much like the press of this movie, Isabella Ferrer had nothing but good things to say about Justin Baldoni. In fact, Justin Baldoni's lawsuit claims that Blake Lively urged Isabella Ferrer to shun him despite her allegedly calling the It Ends With Us set safe and compliant. Down here is her quote. It says, quote, "You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life." Now, in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, it says that, quote, "Tellingly, Ferrer worked with Baldoni when Lively was not on set." So they were never on set together. People being Isabella Ferrer and Blake Lively. And it wasn't until Isabella Ferrer spent substantial time with Blake Lively during film promotion that Isabella Ferrer felt compelled to shun Justin Baldoni. And this is something that they have claimed for a very, very long time. His lawsuit says that the unfollowing of Justin Baldoni by cast members and even the author of the book, Colleen Hoover, was in stark contrast to the warm praise and appreciation cast members had until that point always showered on him. So internet consensus is that one of these women who is willing to come forward and testify against Baldoni is Isabella Ferrer. The other one that people are speculating is Jenny Slate. Now, how does Jenny Slate fit into all of this? Jenny Slate gets sucked into the It Ends With Us lawsuits. Now, the thing that with Jenny Slate, it has to do with her and Jamie Heath, who is Justin Baldoni's producing partner. Apparently, during the shooting of It Ends With Us, Jenny Slate had rented an apartment in New York and she did not like it. It wasn't good enough for her and her toddler. And she mentioned it to Jamie Heath, telling him that, it wasn't a good fit, but she was kind of stuck there because she had put down a $15,000 deposit on said apartment. And she didn't want to lose that money to go somewhere else more comfortable. Now, Jamie Heath offered to have Wayfarer, his and Baldoni's company, reimburse the cost of her security deposit, which was $15,000, so that Slate and her family could find somewhere comfortable to stay. And apparently that offer is what made Jenny Slate uncomfortable. She not only refused the $15,000 to move her and her toddler to a better living space, but she filed a complaint, allegedly. Per The Hollywood Reporter, the offer made Slate so uncomfortable, sources say he focused so intensely honestly on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother that she filed a complaint to the film's distributor Sony, but neither Sony nor Slate returned requests for comment. And that's interesting because Sony did come out and say that no complaints were ever filed. Like, they were quoted in an article as saying no complaints were ever filed when it comes to the set of It Ends With Us. But this story is why a lot of people believe that Lively amended her complaint to add the other two actresses whose names were both redacted, but we can now assume that one of these women is Jenny Slate. And this is also due to the fact that Jenny Slate had also supported Blake Lively last year when she came out with this whole lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, saying that, quote, Blake is a leader and a loyal friend and a trusted source of emotional support for me and so many who know and love her. Now, the internet is two minds about this. Some people saying that it was intrusive of him to offer that $15,000 and talking about, you know, the sanctity of motherhood with Jenny Slate. But at the same time, she was the one who brought it up. And his offer was completely generous that Wayfair Studios would be paying her to get her out of the apartment that she was really uncomfortable in and into a better living situation. Personally, I honestly think that this was done in good faith. You shouldn't be offended by it. If you're bringing the complaint or the grievance, you know, to one of the producers on the film and he's offering to help you get you out of that situation, I don't see the issue, especially since it seems like it was done in good faith. There was nothing creepy about it. It didn't say anything about him personally finding a specific apartment for her. It was just find a better place and we'll reimburse you your deposit. I honestly don't see the issue with that. This came to a surprise to a lot of people. Blake Lively hires former CIA Deputy Chief of Staff Nick Shapiro in her ongoing battle with Justin Baldoni. What's funny about this is that when Justin Baldoni hired his crisis PR team and that made the news, that was actually used against him in Blake Lively's lawsuit, claiming that that news was an additional attack on her that was allegedly launched by Justin Baldoni. But Blake Lively, she can leak this information out here, totally fine. People aren't going to look at this information and see that she's hired a crisis PR manager with deep government ties as her legal battles with Justin Baldoni escalates and not give her like the side eye. I also love that this article wrote that she's quietly working with Nick Shapiro while blasting it right here as an exclusive. However, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that Nick Shapiro was one of the 51 former senior intelligence officials who quietly buried the Hunter laptop story, saying that it had all of the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, when we know now that the Hunter Biden laptop story is a story that the American public should have been made aware of and not buried as misinformation. So in my previous video, I did talk about how Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were trying to subpoena phone records of Justin Baldoni and everybody involved in his lawsuit. And not just like months of phone records, like 2 years of phone records, and not just phone records, it's phone records, text, location. I mean, it was an incredibly invasive subpoena. Well, we have an update to that. The court issues a mixed ruling on Blake Lively's subpoena for Justin Baldoni's team phone records. U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman found that the subpoena is overly intrusive because it could contain information relating to associates of Justin Baldoni's team, as well as sensitive medical information in a way that violates their privacy. Under the ruling, Lively will be able to make discovery requests solely tailored to certain individuals she's already identified as allegedly participating in the smear campaign against her. So Blake Lively will be forced to narrow down her request, but she'll be allowed to subpoena non-parties. And the judge is quoted as saying the Wayfair parties may assert a privacy interest in their own phone records, but they have not provided any basis for asserting an interest in the communications of non-parties. So then Blake Lively's attorneys issued letters to AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile withdrawing the subpoena and requested the court deny the motion filed by Wayfair parties as moot. Now, what are the Wayfair parties that they're referring to? So because the judge's ruling doesn't cover third parties, what had happened was immediately afterwards, there were a slew of other letters from attorneys representing these other third parties, mainly Wayfair employees, that were filed with the court requesting the same motion to quash. So here's one letter, here's another letter, and here's a third letter on behalf of third parties. So all of these letters represent third parties. And Legal Bites here, she says, given the language of the order, it's pretty clear that the judge was going to say samesies as to these third parties once they entered the chat and asserted their own privacy rights. So that's why Blake Lively's attorneys finally made the smart move to file a letter requesting that the court deny their motion as moot because they were withdrawing that original subpoena entirely. But this issue is pretty much seen as an overall win for Justin Baldoni. Now, what is happening with Brandon Sklenar? Because like I did a whole Brandon Sklenar video and I'll link it here if you guys want to check that out. But some people are saying that he is quietly supporting Justin Baldoni for one major reason. He was asked on the red carpet for Vanity Fair's Oscar party what he thinks in regards to the whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuits, and he did give an answer to that. His answer was similar to the one one that he gave on like one of the shows that he was on. I can't remember what that show was. I did a video on it. But he pretty much gives the same answer.
I mean, I just, it's a tough situation, and I just hope everyone remembers what the movie's about and why we made it in the first place, and it's about love, and it's about supporting women in general, and helping people through tough times. And that movie's helped so many people, and I just want people to remember like what it's about and why we made it, and to kind of keep it on that kind of like core ethos. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now, I will say that this lawsuit does overshadow the messaging behind It Ends With Us. It is a movie about domestic violence. It is a movie about, domestic violence survivors, and that shouldn't be overshadowed. And unfortunately, that message is getting lost in all of this. So I do agree with Brandon Sklenar when it comes to that. However, I do believe that is also a very PR answer, a way to sort of back away and stay out of it. And how hypocritical of him when he put himself in the middle of that scandal when he decided to share the New York Times article to his followers on Instagram saying, "For the love of God, read this." So now, after everything comes out, him taking a neutral stance on the issue is a little hypocritical. However, some people are thinking that his stance is not so neutral. When they saw this interview, a lot of people were looking at the brooch that he was wearing and are thinking, I've seen that before. Is he quietly supporting Justin Baldoni by wearing this brooch? Now you can see here, Citizen Journalist is a great account. The citizen sleuths are sleuthing and have questions on the similarities between the flower brooches worn by Justin Baldoni at the It Ends With Us red carpet and the one worn by Brandon Sklenar last night at the Vanity Fair Oscar party. Was this Brandon's subtle support for Justin? Now this 100% could be reaching, or it could seriously mean that he is quietly supporting Justin Baldoni, considering it was 100% absolutely the same pin worn by Justin Baldoni. It was made by the same, I don't know what you call these, the jeweler, I have no idea, company. It was made by the same company. But not only that, when Brandon Sklenar posted on Instagram a photo of himself at the Vanity Oscar party, he wrote, "Vanity Fair X, long live the brooch." He really put attention on the brooch. And a lot of people are leaning towards this may be his way of acknowledging that he is Team Baldoni. Again, this could be completely reaching, but in regards to Brandon Sklenar and It Ends With This news, people are thinking that he is quietly supporting Justin Baldoni. But since this is just speculation, people aren't totally forgiving Brandon Sklenar, especially after It Ends With Us actor Brandon Sklenar advocates for people to read Blake Lively's complaint against Justin Baldoni. Like, he completely 100% stood behind Blake Lively. So for him to privately stand behind Justin Baldoni is not sitting well with people if that's in fact what he's doing. Now, we've always been focused on the lawsuits in regards to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, but we also have to remember that Justin Baldoni is also suing the New York Times. And there was a ruling in the New York Times lawsuit. Now, this lawsuit is going to be very hard for Justin Baldoni to win. So I wanted to go over here and read Legal Bites' opinions, because Legal Bites is a lawyer and she knows what she's talking about. In her opinion, the claims Justin Baldoni and Wayfair Party makes against the New York Times are hands down the weakest claims. It's insanely difficult to win defamation claims against journalist outlets for a whole host of reasons, especially ones like the New York Times, which is used to litigating and winning against defamation claims. And given the fact that New York Times reporter privilege is implicated here, discovery would indeed be complex for them. Now, Legal Bites says that if the judge grants their motion to dismiss and they get dismissed from the lawsuit, they undoubtedly will still respond to some kind of discovery, but there would be changes as to how that would happen. One thing it should signal to people, however, is to brace for the judge likely granting at least part of the New York Times motion to dismiss, if not all of it. Now, what's funny are the stories that are coming out since Blake Lively hired that new CIA crisis PR manager that are attempting to smear Justin Baldoni. One of them is Justin Baldoni is accused of toxic positivity by a former employee. Toxic positivity, like, what is that? An ex-employee, so someone who is totally reliable, right, at Baldoni's Wayfair Studios alleges his leadership style, calling it toxic positivity. The ex-employee is quoted as saying, "It was constant positive." Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time taking this seriously. Okay, the ex-employee is quoted as saying, "It was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity. I'm always a little dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people." Oh my God, why is this a story? "It felt phony." However, not all former staff members shared this sentiment. Melissa Ames, Baldoni's ex-personal and executive assistant, defended him. And I like how the person defending him actually put their name out there, whereas this other person who's slamming him, they're just an anonymous person. She defended him, stating, quote, "He is highly creative and in tune with his spiritual side. He has a heart for helping others. Working at Wayfair was one of the best times of my life." So what about Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and all of their friends, all of their high-profile celebrity friends? What about their phone records and their text messages? Well, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are moving to protect their text messages and sensitive data amidst their legal battle with Justin Baldoni. And it's funny that they want to protect their data, but they want to subpoena 2 whole years of Justin Baldoni and their party's phone records, right? Let us protect ours, but not yours. We want yours. You can't see ours. The couple filed a request to keep their text with high-profile people confidential, citing concerns that Baldoni's camp may leak them to the press. Lively's lawyers are worried that Justin Baldoni's side will leak any texts that don't really pertain to the case, like random conversations with their celebrity friends that they might leak to the press because they are considered high PR value. They said there's a significant chance of irreputable harm if marginal conversations with high-profile individuals with no relevance to the case were to fall into the wrong hands. Lively's attorney went further to urge the judge to place an extra layer of security known as an attorney's eyes only category. Brian Freeman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, did hit back, saying that it was unnecessary and offensive that anyone would suggest that we would disregard the protection order. He added that Lively and Reynolds' plan would unjustly treat celebrity people and people who are powerful in the industry differently from others. In regards to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' attorney's eyes only, the main points of this argument was for concerns of their safety, concerns for privacy, or very high profile non-party, and blames content creators for creating further harm. Now remember, this all started because Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni. She can't sue someone and say, "I'm going to sue you, but I'm going to keep all of this information private." Justin Baldoni, his lawyers, they've created a whole website of evidence to counter all of her claims. So for her to be like, "Oh, this is attorney's eyes only, like I don't want any of my text messages out there," when they had no problem leaking all of these text messages in the original filing, in the original complaint. They had no problem bringing forth all of these text messages, but now she wants to protect all of her text messages. Why? She should not be given special treatment in this case, and neither should her celebrity friends, especially since she's the one that dragged them into this mess. Now, Legal Bites actually put out an opinion on this attorney's eyes only as well. She says designating evidence under a protection order as attorney's eyes only doesn't just mean that the public can't see this evidence, it's that the opposing party can't see it to aid in their own litigation efforts. This is why it's considered an extreme measure. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds claiming that an attorney's eyes only designation should be allowed to prevent the Wayfair parties from being able to see evidence coming from high-profile celebrities is total BS. Lively's a defendant in this case, but the specific case number that everything has been consolidated under is the court case that she filed against Justin Baldoni and others. So the messaging that Lively and Reynolds are giving is the following: we, high-profile celebrities, will sue you and will allegedly forward our damaging lawsuit allegations to the New York Times to amplify our claims, and then we think you, the defendant, whom we are suing, shouldn't even be allowed to access evidence that reveals information about us or other high-profile celebrity friends. We have no other reason why you shouldn't be allowed to see this to defend against our claims other than the fact that we are high-profile celebrities and therefore in our own class of people. That's exactly how this is coming across. Completely out of touch. Blake Lively is the one that started this. Blake Lively is the one that smeared Justin Baldoni. So when he starts to fight back, she's like, no, you can't fight back. We're celebrities. We're entitled to privacy. It's like, what are you talking about? Anyways, Blake Lively was at the premiere for Another Simple Favor. This is the second time that she's been seen on the red carpet. The first time was with Ryan Reynolds over at the Saturday Night Live, 40th, 50th anniversary special. I can't really remember. But this is the first time she's on a red carpet actually promoting a movie, Another Simple Favor. And hilariously, there was a protester. It was none other than Colonel Kurtz herself. She is a legend. She's been covering Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively over on her YouTube channel. She's amazing. But she was there. She was there protesting. And I was actually on a stream with her last night. And let me just insert this clip of her explaining why she was there.
There are lots of people at South by Southwest running around in costumes and doing like dumb like pranks and things like that to try to get like attention or promote things or whatever, right? So I was like, well, what if I just dress up like this and put a poster together? I made that shirt actually and go up there. And I thought that the extent of what would happen is that I would get some interviews with some people in the crowd standing around. I would get some funny footage for my YouTube channel that would maybe get like, you know, if I'm lucky, 40, 50,000 views, right? I really did not expect that I was going to get mainstream media coverage. This was everywhere. This at one point, though, someone sent this to me. At one point, I was front page breaking news on the Daily Mail website. And you can look there. I'm there on 3 different places.
You were on Variety too. Everybody was picking it up. I was like, oh my God, I know her. The thing with this story was what was hilarious. Wabo and Blake Lively's big comeback is brutally hijacked. And the way that they were saying it was like a whole bunch of group of you guys were there, you know, and it was just you by yourself, but they were trying to make that it was like, you know, an entire group of protesters were protesting the new Blake Lively movie. Like some of the headlines were freaking wild.
Well, the craziest one. Yeah. Brutally hijacked. And I really cracked up over this because what happened is that I stood off to the side most of the time. And most of the time wasn't even yelling things. I was interviewing people in the crowd. And then as Blake Lively walked by, I screamed "Justice for Justin" a few times, in which maybe she heard, maybe not, but that was it. But yeah, that's the media. And what's funny is it was the mainstream media that was blowing this out of proportion. It wasn't the mommy sleuths. So this lady that we just saw earlier, the glamour writer, she claimed that that all these mommy sleuths were trying to blow this out of proportion and were claiming that there were tons of protesters. No, that was the mainstream media making it sound like it was some big protest. But yeah, this is me.
Oh, I love it.
But her being there, her protesting went completely viral. Like it went bigger than she thought it would go. And it led to this article being written inside the Blake Lively hate campaign fueled by mommy sleuths. This article was written by Stephanie McNeil. And Stephanie McNeil really has a problem with internet sleuths and people reporting on this case, content creators. She has a huge problem with content creators. She labels this whole thing as drama, when in fact it's not drama. Blake Lively is trying to destroy a man's life. That doesn't fall under the description of drama, at least for me. When you're trying to destroy someone's life, someone's livelihood, and trying to take down a whole studio, that's not really categorized under drama for me. She really has a problem with mostly women content creators who have declared themselves experts in the 37-year-old's legal battle. Now, she gives a few examples of these videos, right? But then she comes to her main issue with why she has problems with all of these women, mostly women. She makes sure to point out that it's mostly women content creators who are backing Justin Baldoni and who are against Blake Lively and not standing behind Blake Lively. This is her true reason as for why she has an issue with all of these women content creators standing behind Justin Baldoni. And it is because she says this isn't normal. And it's about more than just Blake Lively. Since Me Too exploded into public consciousness in 2018, an online war has succeeded in erasing many of the gains made by the movement. If those against Me Too can't stop famous women from speaking out against sexual assault, abuse, harassment, they can apparently slowly erode their credibility until they are pariahs, the target of such unrelenting campaign hate and misogyny that their public image is incurably damaged. The hardest part of this to swallow is that women, mostly civilians, are the ones falling deepest down this rabbit hole, being convinced by TikTok to turn on one of their own. This is really why she has a problem with women standing behind Justin Baldoni, because you are a woman. You should be standing behind another woman whose claims, however false they might be, you need to stand behind her because she's a woman. And if you don't, then you're slowly eroding their credibility until they are pariahs. She says right here, Me Too was an attempt to change the narrative, to believe women when they say they have been victimized by men without caveats. Anything other than that, anything other than believe all women without caveats isn't normal. What a way to think. I'm sorry, but sometimes caveats are needed. We need some information. She's essentially saying that it's totally okay for a woman to make false accusations about a man and have his life ruined, and that's totally okay, and all all women should stand behind her because she is a woman. No, we're not going to do that. This isn't about men versus women. This is about right versus wrong. And unfortunately, Blake Lively is in the wrong here. She has completely smeared this man's name with no evidence to back up all of these claims that she's made. In fact, all of the evidence that has come out is from Justin Baldoni's side. And not only that, but she's trying to hide any and all evidence. She's tried to make evidence attorney's eyes only. She's tried to limit who can depose her on the stand. Everything that these commentators, these influencers who you have such a problem with, have done nothing but read all of the lawsuits and report on them. They've reported on public hearings. It's not like they're creating rumors out of thin air and reporting on them. No, they're reporting on things that Blake Lively has done, said, and has already been reported by media outlets. So they're just reporting the news and giving their own opinion, which they have every right to do. But because she's a woman, all of these content creators who are women should stand behind her. Otherwise, they're not normal. But she was very upset that people had an issue with her article, and she came out with this video and quickly deleted it because it looked so bad for her.
A lot of these creators will say things like, I'm not beholden to corporate media. I don't get paid for this. I'm only doing this because I believe in the truth. But they are not only getting paid for creating this content.
Duh. That's all I have to say is duh. What world is she living in that she doesn't know that you can make money off of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube? All of those places are places for content creation, and content creators do get paid. People know this. Like, I think that she doesn't understand how much people get paid for making content. That's what I don't think that she understands, because I think that she thinks that people make thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars, making content creation, when in fact that is not true. So this whole thing of they're making this for money, you guys, don't believe them. That's not a justifiable reason for coming after them in your article.
They are the ones profiting.
They're the ones profiting. You shouldn't listen to them. Go read my article. The one that tells you that if you watch all of these people and believe them, especially if you're a woman, if you stand behind them, if you stand behind Justin Baldoni, you're not normal. Okay? You need to go and read my article and stand behind Blake Lively because she's a woman. That's what's normal. Otherwise, you're a misogynist. Wow. I really hate, reporters that go after content creators, insinuating that they are less than them because I work for a mainstream outlet and I'm more important. I'm better than you because I do that. You are at your house. It takes no effort to do that. I'm better than you. They're really insinuating that they are better than you. I really can't stand when journalists do that. They go after content creators because they consider them like the lowest of the low. Anyways, that's it for me. I haven't really decided if I'm going to break this video up and make it a two-parter because there was so much information. If it's just one video, then cool, it's going to be a long one. So I really hope that you made it this far. If you did, put your favorite emoji in the comment section below. Let me know that you made it through the entire video. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in those comments down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.